Poppy's still going to be banned, so that will leave open the
I
Renekton,
like
which
that.
was the difference maker from the game #1 draft into this one when it comes to ban.
I think the Poppy's a really smart ban, because if you're expecting this to be, you know, a Xayah ban or whatever, then you can do Sejuani plus Jax or Sejuani plus Renekton, and there's not really a good answer for Oscar, so that top side becomes very hard. If you ban Xayah, they get Rumble. If you ban Rumble, they get Xayah, right? And then I think Cloud9 is really set up well, so they're going to try to do a trade of OPs for OPs. So I actually think this is really smart. I still think it's going to be likely a Rumble, but it could be a Xayah. And your hope now is, okay, if you're thinking there's 3 OPs up, well, you do a 1-for-2 trade.
I think you take the Xayah, because, I mean, in the
so
last
too.
draft, Fnatic showed, hey, we already showed our hand. We don't really want to take the Rumble, so now they are going to pick the Rumble. They'll take the Jarvan alongside it, but it's like, how comfortable are they actually on this pick if they weren't ready to pick it on blue side?
And Cloud9 is going to do Sejuani plus Jax.
Yeah,
They're going to do Sejuani Jax, and then you have to be able to win this 2v2, right? And I do think Rumble can absolutely win that 2v2 alongside the Jarvan. It's execution-based, of course, but you have the Ignite advantage. But so much already, I think, is going to come down to these top lane picks. And this, I feel like, is showing, you know, the kind of issues I think that Noah has with some of his champions. You know, he's worried about these getting banned out, so he's going to pick this early. But this does expose Humanoid even more to more bans getting thrown at him. Yeah. But it is a really interesting adaptation here from Fnatic.
Yeah, I think if you're Cloud9, ban Nico, ban Syndra, you're like, okay, cool, there's 2 very big follow-ups for what this is, setup is already there. And then you're kind of like, okay, well, what do you have in the tank then, Humanoid? I mean, that's so much that's already gone from the mid lane pool, but as you say, for EMENES, he still has a lot of fallbacks when it comes towards, well, I was going to say some of these more melee mids, and they're already being taken.
I mean, you look at EMENES' champion pool for the year, that guy plays a lot of different stuff. Like, he is not concerned, I think, really about bans going towards him. I would consider just throwing bans. Keep throwing more bans towards Humanoid. Ban out the Syndra. Just keep throwing bans at him. I think it makes a lot of sense to really try to limit that because, you know, EMENES, I think, is comfortable, you know, playing a lot of different stuff. And it's not that Humanoid is not flexible. I think that he is. But Humanoid has just been the best player for Fnatic by far, in my opinion. So I think you limit his power as much as you possibly can in this game. If they leave Syndra up, it feels like you're daring him to pick Syndra, and then you have to give EMENES the credit that he has a good answer that he's kind of waiting for with it. And it could just be Cassante again.
It certainly could. I really like the Permafrost banning away here, just because Yone does have a lot of extra magic damage, the Akali, obviously, a magic damage assassin, and so now the Sejuani value in the mid lane may not necessarily mirror that of top side. You don't necessarily need to play towards it, but that is going to be the Renata band away from Trymbi, so going into his champion pool a little bit deeper, but there's a Nautilus, so he may as well just lock that one away.
But that's showcasing that Cloud9 want to go full dive, right? And if you're going to pick full dive here and you're worried about that Renata, like the Renata is so good as an answer into this. Of course, you're still getting a really high tier pick here. It is going to be 5th pick for Humanoid. So EMENES could go Syndra. What do you think Humanoid would go in that case?
That's actually, because I was even looking there, I would like to say something like a Nico or something along those lines, but actually looking, he's only played 1 game all year long on the Nico, and it was a loss. So, and it's not something that I'd usually associate with Humanoid. It would more be like the caps and that kind of stuff that I associate him with. So I am curious. I think Nico is perfect in this scenario if the people are looking to dive on you. But I don't know, is the honest answer. Yeah,
and I will say, if EMENES does go Syndra, then topside is kind of like countered by Merc Treads. So maybe they're too nervous about that, and then in which case they could go towards like a Jace or something physical damage in that line.
Maybe, I think it would probably be the Jace. I mean, Humanoid has been a fantastic Jace, and you've got the AP already there.
Then Humanoid just goes Syndra, right? And then I feel like you're feeling pretty darn good because Razork then has good lanes to gank in both mid and top. I feel like Fnatic would have some pretty good positions. This would be much more of like a throwback to EMENES when he first came into the LCS. This is a pick that everyone was terrified about him on. It was really considered that must ban. Of course, LeBlanc has been nerfed so many times now, it has been really kind of pushed down.
Whoa!
This would be interesting. These are just hovers. I think it's going to be Syndra. That's my expectation at least.
Yeah, I think the Syndra, but it's still not the best of matchups into the LeBlanc. She can still do enough in that matchup.
AP soul lanes.
Yeah. Sylas could be a pick here. Actually, yeah. Okay. I like the Sylas.
It makes it very,
for against the Alistar, LeBlanc can have some push, but she's not really able to shove you out of lane, especially since we've seen a lot of Sylases like start Doran's ring, quick reset for Doran's shield as well, and then you're just very difficult to try and push out of lane. So I think in that scenario, you've got access to a ton of great ultimates, and also you're able to play in towards this heavy skirmish, and when C9 dive in on top of you, that's where you can get a lot of value as well.
Yeah, I mean, Humanoid definitely is going to have the ability to carry this game. You know, you're on that Sylas, you have good jungle pairings, you have the Alistar ult to steal. I think that and the Sejuani are kind of the premier ults that you're really looking for, but mostly just the Alistar. There's a lot of pressure on Cloud9 to play well on the top side, though, because this is very reminiscent of the game that they got blown out against a T1, where Xayah actually went with that Rumble, and they went with the Jax answer. They had the Bel'Veth instead of the Sejuani in that one, but that went so bad so fast. Fudge did play the early waves well, but then Blaber got pushed out of his jungle, and all of a sudden, Fudge is getting dove, and it kind of feels like it's GG.
I also do feel like for EMENES, though, this is also a moment where he can step up and be the carry. Noah has no real safety on that back line. Like, you're with the Rell. What you going to do if a LeBlanc pops over the wall, immediately deletes Noah, and then it's like, cool, we're 4 versus 5. We should be able to snowball this fight out of control. So I definitely think on both sides, mid laners are the ones to watch.
The most measured of takes.
Yeah, I just wanted a smiley face underneath. It's like, I just don't want violence, guys.
Both teams have fun.
Yeah, it's I hope everyone has fun.
Yeah. Let's just have a good time, everyone. Let's see who has the most good of a time as we hop onto the Rift here for the final game. Blue side's been traded. It's been a victory for both teams. And now we'll see whether Fnatic can fight back against that with a decent draft, or whether C9 can be the ones to take it here as we jump into the Rift for game number 3.
Already really calling out to me is the fact that Oscarinin is playing TP. He is not playing Ignite. So
losing points with on the Huni scale.
He is going to be playing a much less aggressive. I will say this is more measured. If it goes bad, it's not going to go as bad. And if you don't think that you can win the 2v2 against the Sejuani Jax, this is just the objectively correct choice. But what I will say is your kill pressure is way lower against the Jax in the 1v1. And this does mean if C9 can do well on the top side, get Fudge into a good position, I feel like you can get much more quickly to that point where you can just straight up win out in the side lanes.
Yeah, especially when you've already got Humanoid, who in theory in this matchup should be shoved in, opening up EMENES to start to look for these roams. So I think Razork is definitely going to have his work cut out here to try and disrupt that Cloud9 play.
I think the 3v3 on the top side of the map is where my mind is going to go.
That's the whole series, no?
It's been the whole series, and that's what I'm looking out for now, as Blaber is going to close in on Humanoid, and he's just going to dash away. Yep, sometimes you just want to abscond from the whole situation, and Sylas is pretty good at it. No.
In this case.
No, not in this case. That would be a silly choice. Fnatic now going to start off on their blue side. Blaber a little bit more lonely, doing exactly the same thing. And, oh man, I can't help but want the camera to just be in top lane the entire time, just to see who is going to be able to get that early advantage.
Get, like, the first-person POV, where they're just, like, zoomed in on the character.
Yeah.
Really experience what it's like.
First person. I want to see first-person view.
Exactly.
Just stick up the health bars. Let's just make it a fighting game, to be honest.
Hey, it's perfect.
Ready, fight!
And we don't quite have Rumble and Jax in the fighting game yet, but maybe they'll get there in the future.
Maybe they just haven't told us.
Hey, that's true. Maybe we're doing spoilers by accident without actually knowing anything.
That's not a spoiler. That's just a beautiful prediction.
Hey, there it is. That's all of my
can't
things
get
that I've
fired for
spoiled.
predicting something.
Yeah, I know that's true. Otherwise, I would have been fired long ago.
Same.
For things like my Breon predictions and certain Humble Life eSports predictions. Is now Fudge going in onto Oscarinin, and that is going to be a decent trade. Probably the best you can hope for as the Jax at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, Jax in the early levels, you can get the push. You're trying to look for that bounce.
Feels good.
Yep.
Not as good.
No.
But you get a two-man pulverize. You're going to walk away from the situation with not very much health bar, feeling great.
And then you just say your teammate with, where's the follow-up?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
guys.
Question mark ping him.
Yeah.
Like, you're good.
Yeah, that's the best way to keep up morale. In a
I think you ping your
like
jungler in that case, because you want to keep up morale within the 2v2,
No jungle?
right?
Jungle AFK farming? 6 camp clear?
I just hit a two-man pole. Where were you?
I will say, though, I like that Zven is now taking that opportunity to actually go in and roam. All right, get that ward down so they can spot out exactly what the plan is from Razork, because they didn't have a huge amount of information. Now, Razork on that top side, but the wave's in a terrible spot for Fudge.
Yeah,
he's going to have to back away.
It's bouncing. Honestly, it's totally fine. He should just back up. The wave is going to come to him, so he does not need to walk up. There's no reason for him to ever walk up, and honestly, he should not even be playing that close to that brush.
Oh, no, the flag is going to come down. That is the E button. And Fudge is going to be A-OK.
Yeah, that was honestly pretty well done from Fudge. He's playing right on the range there. If Razork flashed for it, he gets knocked up, but I still think you're going to be okay in that situation because he got the E down so early that there's not going to be a lot of follow-up damage. So credit to Fudge, playing that line well. He had the wave bounce, so he was honestly in a totally fine position. EMENES going to be having push here in mid. The question is just how much pressure can he keep on? Can he keep Humanoid kind of locked in lane here? And also, how much gold can he get with this first strike? Because I do think it's going to be a lot harder for Humanoid to kind of get value of that, in this melee versus range. Obviously, it scales really, really well. It's not just an early game rune. Of course, it's actually much more of a late game rune. But it does still feel really nice to get those early item completions when you're able to constantly proc it in lane.
Yeah,
I mean, you'll see, though, kind of what we were talking about with Humanoid, where he goes back. He started off with the Doran's shield. You go back at Doran's ring, so you're not going to run out of mana. And at that stage, you kind of have your Q spam, because you'll have 3 levels in your Q. So you'll be in perfectly fine shape now as Humanoid to just try and manage the early lane state. And try and, as you say, scale to that later point off of 2 items where, honestly, the entirety of Fnatic, apart from Noah, comes alive.
Well, chains are going to go slightly wide, and EMENES is going to pop the Sigil of Malice. Going to be a decent trade there as Blaber is taking his Gromp on full vision of Fnatic.
Yeah, exactly. EMENES basically got stopped on his base. Humanoid warded over the wall, interrupted him, so then EMENES just went out. And you're just spending your health bar to get a little bit of a trade before you go back to base, and then you TP back. And then he's hoping that he could maybe hold that wave off the turret to deny Humanoid from going back and kind of create that HP advantage that way. We'll see if he's going to be able to get that base timing, though, because EMENES got delayed on his base again, which is kind of putting him in this awkward spot where now he has to stay around for another wave. And sometimes you can kind of get awkwardly locked in a lane a lot longer than you would like to be.
Yeah, Humanoid not going to find the chain there, decides not to go in as EMENES is in a whole host of trouble. There is the Arctic Assault to come through from Blaber, and that is going to get the flash out from Humanoid. Nicely played, but right on the edge there from C9.
Right on the edge, but this is brilliant if you can actually get back, TP back, because now there's no flash, there's no TP on Humanoid, and he's lower on resources here, and it's going to be EMENES coming back with both summoners. Well, his flash up, he's going to spend the TP, and a full health bar and mana bar.
Yeah, even picking up the blasting wand off the back of the Dark Seal, he's going to be doing a lot of damage when he comes back into this lane. And you can see, even though you're picking up the bits and bobs for Humanoid, you are delayed on hitting things like the Lost Chapter where you can actually start to trade effectively. So EMENES going to be in a great spot. You've already got Zven. We've seen him gank this top side a lot with Blaber, and Oscarinin isn't ready for this.
Yeah, there are a lot of people up here as the equalizer comes down. Oscarinin, I think, knows that he's going to struggle in this one, decides to get as much damage onto Fudge as he can, and he's running back towards the enemy turret. There's the permafrost, there's the pulverize, and there goes first blood for Fudge.
That's massive for Fudge, and that kind of is a little bit of that ignite, that you're missing, where you can't pressure for that kill, right? So he drops the equalizer, he uses his damage, he doesn't have that total amount of damage that he needs to actually go for a kill, so he just has to look for the run, and now EMENES trying to harass Razork here.
Yeah, getting a bit frustrating, but he's just going to go back to his distortion. Ward goes in, and I think Fnatic should be able to collect this first dragon.
I will say, I think it was a little bit greedy from Oscarinin, though, like trying to stay underneath the tower, pressure with the flame spitter when you already have your jungler on bottom side, 0 vision on that top end. Like, there was no reason for you to try and be up that far in lane. You had already crashed it. So, I mean, nice punishment from C9, but Oscarinin should never have been in that position.
Exactly, and we saw Fudge in that position earlier in the game where he played with respect to it. He didn't walk up to the wave. You have to kind of balance it, though. That is one of the problems with Rumble, is that Rumble has to kind of be harassing and be aggressive into this matchup, because if you just farm even against the Jax and you play too passive, well, the Jax just kind of outskills you by default. So you have to really walk that line well, and it means that you have to really track the enemy jungler well, track the enemy support well, to know when you are in trouble.
Yeah, the real thing is you can use information so much better as the Rumble, but if you don't have it, then it's hard to know exactly when you're supposed to, press your buttons and actually get those leads, because if you don't, like you say, you're just going to sit there and let Jax be Jax. So it is going to be a lot of the initiative. Like, Fnatic is the one that needs to be making the early plays towards the top side of the map, but they do still have a whole bunch of scaling options elsewhere, right? So you don't necessarily need to feel as pressured. Fudge still should be that win condition for C9 if they need him in the later stages of the game.
And he'll be set up really well for success in the side lanes, because if you pick up a bit of MR, who's going to answer the side lane? Humanoid or Oscarinin, right? So you're going to be set up well for that success in the side lane if they want to play heavily towards it. And Blaber just heading right back up there. If Oscar oversteps, this could be another kill. And Blaber could even just go for the wraparound. They have a track on that ward, potentially. So he's just going to be starting up the Herald. You can see Razork coming down. Mid lane is kind of in parity right now, so this is maybe a little bit of a risky take. We'll see, though, if Cloud9's pressure in mid is enough to grab it.
Yeah, flag is going to be in there, but it looks like Razork does not want to head over here, understanding that he needs to relinquish control of this top side. And that is going to be C9, getting the first topside objective in trade for the Dragon that Fnatic already picked up. Nothing really in it as far as advantage for either team, though. Just a lot of these micro leads, and of course first blood going to C9, but anything could still happen in this game.
You have to say, though, it's a 1K gold lead and they haven't dropped their Herald, so I think they're in a pretty good spot, and they're looking for a dive.
Now the two-man Pulve is going to come through. There's the crash down, but it's the Featherstorm that's going to answer, and Zven is the one that locks down that kill, and now Noah, can he answer back? He's got red-white guns, but Berserker's feeling good, and that is going to be the tanking done so beautifully from Zven as well to make sure the Berserker's all right. They get a plate off the back of it.
And that's the power of the Alistar hitting 6. You got that push, you hit level 6 off the wave, and immediately dive.
Top.
Oh dear, level 7 here for Blaber as the equalizer comes down. C9 can move out of the way of it if they would like to, as now Fudge dives in. Razork is going to go the opposite direction though. The permafrost not quite in range as Blaber does find it. The fadeaway with the ultimate, and Oscarinin just has to let his jungler die.
I mean, Razork just went way too far. He gave away a freebie there, as Cloud9 was just instantly disengaging when they saw that Razork shows up, and the equalizer gets dropped, and if you don't have a high-value equalizer, there's no damage there. Berserker looking.
Yep, there's a an Alistar in pajamas that was lying on the ground, so something happened there. We'll probably check that one out in a replay. Just Noah answering. And Berserker is just going to look to hold on to this wave. So not the most massive of advantages.
I do agree with Azael, though, going back to that top lane play. I mean, you get complete discoordination on the ultimates coming through from Oscarinin and Razork, so that's the turnaround that C9 needed. And once you're able to focus down one of these members, you're in a good spot. But we're going to get this play on the bottom side to see exactly what's... Oh, this is actually the initial
dive.
It's
the first one, right? Yeah.
Level 6 hit up by the bot lane of C9. You don't have level 6 on Trymbi to try and disengage from this. And that ultimate, you get so much value from the Alistar, and I think this is the downside for not trying to play away from Rift Herald. And then here on the top side play, like, that ult is hitting nobody, Oscarinin. It barely even hits the wave. And then you have Razork who's able to ult in, and then at that stage, Cloud9, it's an easy turnaround. It's Zven one more.
All right, he is probably... Oh, never mind, he gets into the fog of war. The ward goes down. Blaber, can you keep your support alive? And I think he can. Although he may not be able to keep himself alive as the flash is going to whiff. Not able to get over that wall, and now Blaber's just going to have to give up the ghost.
Yikes, 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 my eyes. That was not it from Blaber, who did a good job actually, you know, warding them away, but then ends up dying for it. And now Berserker's going to lose the wave as well. So that is pretty rough. But Fnatic, you know, moving heavily down towards that bot side, they do get a kill.
All I'm saying is that's what happens when Azael talks smack. I'm just saying, you know, it just hits him back straight away.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I mean, Zven tries to get the ward in the bush. Immediate Trymbi already there. Hex flashes out, gets the setup with Humanoid, and a nice roam from Humanoid there to find that opportunity on the bot side, especially with Razork now moving down to clear his bot camps. You've got the numbers advantage. EMENES is still in the middle.
And this just got a little bit dicey there. And this is that thing where Trymbi flipped him away from the wall, and that actually changed the distance that Blaber would have needed. So Blaber, you know, needed to be patient, walk all the way back to the wall. He was against it, so I think he thought because of that position he would have been able to flash out. And I think just didn't catch that he actually got flipped off that wall a little bit there. But a bit of a rough one from Blaber, great roam from Humanoid, and great use of that Sejuani ult to steal that away and get themselves a kill, plus the free flash. So Fnatic in a good spot, but Cloud9 hovering here around that bot side.
Yeah, there is the Glacial Prison just going to get thrown away. I really do like
Herald.
the question mark thrown up by Zven. Not so much the second one. But there is the Herald going to be thrown down. Berserker should be able to get some money from that one as well, as Equalizer comes on down here on this top side. Fudge just trying to get himself out of the way of the situation, and he will be able to do so. The Merc Treads working out here as Noah trying to stun up MNFs just a little bit, and does manage to get his Crescendo, but Distortion, pretty good ability, and that's going to get MNS out of trouble. Blaber not going to get knocked up, but there is the Cataclysm to trap in the Piggy. Zven wants to try and find a way to make this one happen as Noah finds an ultimate. There goes Blaber, and Zven, he doesn't have the Sejuani to keep him alive. A 4-man pulverize to celebrate the ending of Zven here in this moment.
I mean, Fnatic had just won mid lane off of Noah's play, and then you get Blaber and Zven going, hey, I'm going to wander up the river, and it gives that opportunity for Fnatic to collapse. You don't have the manpower there for Cloud9, and Fnatic find that great pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Blaber and Zven getting pretty sloppy in these last couple of minutes here, you know, causing them to lose a fair bit on this bot side. You know, and as soon as that TP came back down towards bot lane from Oscarinin, Berserker could never enter, right? Because he'd just be walking into a flank there from the Rumble. It would never be worth the play. As you say, EMENES is pushed out. You can't be in the river in that position. Fudge, though, going a little bit aggressive, but has to be respectful because Humanoid is really strong, has those early 2 kills.
Yeah, he's ulted as well, Fudge.
Fudge could be
A
dead.
bit of
There's
his
no
own
flash.
medicine. Yeah, he decides to dive back in, as we can see. But Humanoid doesn't want it. A little bit too dark on the rest of the map, and so Fudge not going to be baiting him in to this one.
I like the idea from Cloud9, though. Again, it's like, hey, look, we've just lost out on bot side. Let's try and rotate members up the top side and see if we can get something with Fudge. Zven's still here, and Humanoid doesn't realize it.
Yeah, Humanoid going to dive forward. The Everfrost is decent, but the Counter-Strike is a little bit better. Never mind, Pulverize is going to come through, and now Trymbi is going to make his way up. There's the flash forward! Finds the crash down onto Zven, and once again, he's a cow with a dream, but this time he does have his flash, so he gets out alive.
The chains from Humanoid were massive there. They locked up Fudge just long enough where Humanoid was able to escape and not get caught. And Zven is caught though.
Oh dear, Zven does find a decent pulverizer there to try and keep himself alive, but he's not out of the woods just yet. Humanoid was tanking up the turret as now Blaber's looking for him. The Everfrost is decent, but the Glacial Prison is better. Kingslayer keeps Humanoid alive, and now Razork's looking for Zven, who just headbutts him away. The Cataclysm comes in and he's walking circles literally around him, and now EMENES wants to finish this one off. He's got a Magnet Storm to contend with, but some low health bars on Fnatic means this one is all coming up C9. Humanoid gets himself a Feather Storm in the nick of time, but the Q comes in. Berserker, he really wants this, but it's Blaber that's going to be the one to help lock it down. They do manage to take it. It costs an ult, but C9 will pay that.
Fnatic going way too deep on that one. Thought they could kind of style on Cloud9, and it ended up going bad for them, but at least they are pushing in mid, they are pushing in bot, so they can maybe get something back here, but it's Fudge coming down to answer.
Yeah, and in the lane economy snapshot from MasterCard, you can see bottom side of the map, Noah is actually pretty huge, but it's the top lane once again, and Fudge is going to flash on top of Oscarinin, and he gets stunned up by the counter-strike, but he might be able to get out with that scrap shield, but in comes the cow. There's the taxi forward, but he doesn't have flash, remember, so can't actually get on top of Oscarinin, but they get the flash. That's probably enough.
They get the flash, and they get the Herald, and now Humanoid TP down here. Noah on the roam, but Cloud9 should just back it up. They know that their jungler's topside. They did get Herald, so you take this as a win. You traded flashes, and you got to just try to back it up.
Zven's emote game has been fantastic, even though it's been the one emote, but there's the equalizer. The Moonlight Vigil does fly down as Trymbi looks to stun up the cow, and they do manage to get him. Some low health bars, but not enough for C9 to answer.
Yeah, but they're going to push mid, and we'll have to see what Cloud9 can get. They're at least going to get the one tower, very likely, or at least it'll be put really low, so that one does go down. But, you know, the worry here for Cloud9 is the two dragons relatively early on taken by Fnatic. You know, it's not the fastest soul, but it would be an infernal soul, which is always terrifying. And the fact that Noah, it feels like for one of the first times, is really in kind of that big, comfortable position. I feel like this is his best game state that he's had throughout Worlds thus far. He could really carry this game.
Yeah, I think as well, if you can have Fnatic able to match a lot of these plays that Cloud9 are trying to make to get control back, that's going to help out massively. I mean, Humanoid matching the roam here from Zven, you get the flash from the Jax to try and keep them safe, and they're able to turn this one around nicely. And as you say, with Noah, yes, he does have a gold lead, but he's still waiting for like an item and a half realistically before he becomes the big AD carry. Whereas I think when you look at like Berserker is in a spot where he's still going to be a little bit more relevant just because of the champions that you're playing.
Yeah, and Cloud9's still going to be trying to play heavily through those side lanes, but we'll see how Fudge can do, because Humanoid has seemed more than equal to the task as far as answering him in those side lanes. I'm interested to see where Fudge does build. Does he build more towards the 5v5, or does he start picking up some MR and trying to play heavily through sides, right? Because the MR is going to be really effective. He wants to commit to those side lanes. But at the end of the day, if it's a game that's going to be decided in 5v5, you're still going to have to deal with all of the punishment that's going to come through from Noah.
And I think you kind of have to accept that, hey, look, we're going to need to team fight. Fnatic have the tempo advantage at this stage. They've gotten the positional, or the wards that they want to try and play for the next dragon, try and play for mid lane turret, even if they want to forgo dragon. So I think as Fudge, you have to play for team fights, because that's where this game's going to be decided.
And I agree. I mean, C9 tried to play, you know, for those early heralds, and you're supposed to be trading objectives for gold, right? And that's the idea, is that you come to this third dragon fight with a significant gold lead, and then you're in that winning spot. You take the fight, you win the fight, you get the dragon. All of a sudden, the other team is in kind of a really hard spot. But the gold lead is nothing, right? The gold is, it may as well just be dead even. When you add in the combat stats from what Fnatic has on their dragons, I would say they're maybe even slightly in the lead, or at the very least very, very close. So it's really going to be down to the execution here. If Fnatic gets this third one, it could be problems.
They do have control of the vision, though, and Razork is going to figure that one out. Takes 2/3 of his health bar in trade, and now has to go for a reset. And there are a lot of things that give advantages. You're talking about the amount of stats that you have, that's very important, but vision is also very important, and it's C9 that has a lot of it around this very important dragon.
And that's why I thought Fnatic were going to give it up. Maybe try and play for mid into a top side, get 2 towers, but you've got the reset that was actually cancelled on Oscarinin. He wanted to reset to try and then make a TP play in towards this objective, but Fudge actually stops him on the top side.
Yeah, he's fighting him as well, as we could see on the minimap, but is going to pull away.
Razork's back, though, so, you know, the chunk didn't end up mattering. They're pushing out through mid, but Fnatic are just going to start this very likely. And we'll see if Fudge can actually get down here, because there's the base from Oscarinin way before Fudge. Fudge is going to cancel his base. He's pushing top, but I don't think this is the right choice. I mean, Oscarin's just going to TP for this, and you're just giving up soul point for free.
Yeah, teleport onto this outer turret towards the bottom side of the map. The equalizer is now making its way into the fight as EMENES gets over that wall. The Drake is going down low, but Humanoid now going for the engage. The equalizer is decent, but it's not onto Berserker, who's now trying to kite back. The Drake goes down, but can they actually actually stay alive in the fight as Humanoid. He flashes away, but the execution's there from EMENES.
They need more.
And now C9, yeah, you're exactly right. They're going to have to go for it as the Magnet Storm is massive. Trymbi's going to try and take them down. Is now Oscarinin in that backline with the Flame Spinner just burning them all down. But it's Berserker that's trying to get more. Noah now able to get those shots in. It's a bit of a disaster, but in the end, it's all Fnatic. And Berserker's just trying to get that one last kill, and Noah says no.
They couldn't get Noah, and that might be the end of the C9 arc at Worlds 2023. What a fight from the Fnatic AD carry, who's been doubted for so long at this tournament.
I mean, Cloud9 just showed up way too late to this. The fact that Fudge cancels his base, by the time they arrive, they can't even really fight for the Dragon. Imagine if Fudge is here this early. Humanoid going forward would be punished so much more heavily. But instead, the Dragon goes over pretty much for free. Humanoid gets put low. Cloud9, no, they need so much more from this fight. They need to try to funnel in, and that's where Trymbi finds this angle. Razork goes in, Trymbi goes in. Berserker is free firing, but that ulti from Noah, the AoE was massive, and then Fudge flashes in the backline, but he's zoomed. He didn't get to base. He's out of mana, couldn't actually push forward to try to get the kill on Noah.
Also the fact that Razork doesn't actually stick around in the Cataclysm. He pieces out, which means you've still got peel for Noah at the back end of this fight, and then you're able to follow through with the damage Oscarinin has on this Rumble. Really well orchestrated fight, and Fnatic want more.
Yep, the first big win here in this game goes to Fnatic, but the game is not over yet. They do have Infernal Soul, which is so important. Zven also doesn't have a whole lot of his health bar, does get a decent shield, but the will not quite as unbreakable as you might assume. And like you say, now 4 versus 5 in favor of Fnatic. They can head towards Baron.
There's no TP. Fudge has to run. You know, I think that C9 have really bungled this. They totally failed their setup at that third Dragon. Now I think Fnatic get a free Baron. I think this is it.
Blaber's looking to try and get in there. If he can get that Miracle Steal, then there is going to be an opportunity, but he is going to get Magnet Storm. They are looking for the Baron. It's a lot of damage down, though, as Berserker is free hitting 2 kills already. The Equalizer does next to nothing, and that's going to be 3 in trade for the Baron. They're going to need to try and get out of here, and they're going to have to try and get out fast, and they are going to be able to do so with the empowered backs.
I mean, it's a fumble from Fnatic. They don't actually get the play set up. A terrible ult from Oscarinin, and 2 members getting out with Baron. You can already see the Red Bull Baron power play. That's not what Fnatic wanted off the back of that. That should have been a clean take, but they dropped the ball. Yeah,
they really did, and it does give an opportunity now for Cloud9, who picks up a couple kills. They may be able to clear off some towers off the map as well to kind of scrape that back and try to set up a better fight at this 4th Dragon. And Fnatic go very far. They do get this kill on Zven, and it's because they knew that Fudge is bot, and they know that Berserker's not there as well, so there's not really any threat. But then the setup here, you know, Trymbi goes forward, Humanoid goes forward, the rest of them are actually hitting, but Berserker is free firing, and this is the main problem, is that you've sent half your team forward, half your team is actually still finishing. Oscarinin whiffs his ult, Noah whiffs his ult, and Fnatic, you know, don't really coordinate on either a turn or a finish.
And that was what I was talking about, the 280 carries, and Noah might actually still be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, EMENES looking to chain him up. It's a lot of damage being offered back as Noah is, yeah, just going to make sure that EMENES gets out of there, and he is going to do so. So a trade of health bars, not too much else, and the cleanse going to be utilized.
That's the Cloud9 being able now to get control of the map, though, which is exactly what they need against this Baron buff. Like, Noah is one of the few people that actually has one on Fnatic. He's taken off the map. It makes it more difficult to try and play around the lanes, especially for Oscarinin, who would love to be in a side lane, threatening top lane tower. So it's Cloud9 slowly but surely, like, pushing Fnatic back and preventing them from getting anything here.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the Baron power play obviously not working out for them. EMENES, I have to say, doing a good job finding poke constantly throughout this game, you know, poking and prodding, trying to get advantages where he can. But the big problem is still looming. They're looking for a pick here on Trymbi, but great buffer on the dismount there to keep him safe. And Razork looking for the turn, maybe.
Yeah, the Equalizer goes down again. Blaber is completely cornered off. He's trying to get out of there, but he's not going to be able to. That's the lockdown. A great knock-up onto Zven as well, who's once again going to try and use the ulti to escape, but it's not going to work. Trymbi going to lock down that kill. That is 2 for free for Fnatic.
And that means trouble with this Dragon coming up very soon here. Yeah, Fudge gets a tier 2, but Fnatic are pushing, and they're going to have full setup on this Dragon. That could mean everything here. EMENES wants to delay to the last second and then interrupt this to try to stop a proper setup. He couldn't quite get that 100-0 play. Razork will slink out, but now they're going to try to TP in.
Yeah, Fudge is immediately going to come in and use that counter-strike. Trymbi down very low, but Noah is just shooting him. He is going to be able to get himself out of there. So the teleport comes on forward. Blaber is now back up and alive. We have 16 seconds on this Infernal Drake, and this is do or die for C9. Infernal Soul is very difficult to deal with.
They need Fudge back out on the map, though. He's just reset at the same time as Fnatic are all coming in. TP, actually, Fudge is going to stay out.
And he's low with no ult.
Yeah, and I mean, the LeBlanc TP's into the bot side. EMENES wants to try and push these waves, so maybe he can play in that dark vision that we have in this bot side jungle of Fnatic. EMENES needs to pick off a key member here.
I mean, the big hope is Noah. Noah has no cleanse. They have to try to get in on him and 100 to 0 him, but Fudge in an awkward spot. He needs to get over this wall.
Yeah, the chain's going to miss. Noah is finally going to turn up, has the long-range guns for this fight. He'll quite have to sever him, but he may not necessarily need it. That is a great snipe from the Glacial Prison, but it doesn't quite work out, as that is going to be Fnatic locking down the Drake, and now the Dragon is going to burn through C9. They try to get one back, but it's not going to be enough. Berserker, the cleanse, he just can't cleanse the death, and Noah gets a double in the fight, and Fnatic are rolling over C9 now.
They needed Noah, but Cloud9 could not find a way into the backline. Everyone was marking EMENES, and with that Fnatic, they get the soul, and they might have just kept themselves alive here.
Massive for Fnatic. They're just outplaying in these setups. They've had better setups. Noah is massive. Cloud9 can't get to him. And it's all about the setups for these fights. You know, the earlier problem, Fudge TPing in, it feels like Cloud9 wants it too bad. Where is Fudge in this fight? He's fighting with Trymbi. He's not able to actually focus into the backline. He doesn't have his ult. And the fight is over before he's even really involved in it. Like, now he's coming down, but he got nothing done, right? He's not involved whatsoever. And I just feel like in these last couple engagements, you know, Fudge has not been there when they needed them to be. At the third Dragon, he based really late, couldn't actually get a buy and health back before he TP'd. And then this one, he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I think the idea from Cloud9 was, hey, Fudge, if you can take care of Trymbi, you saw Zven headbutt Humanoid out of the equation, give us that direct line for EMENES to get on towards Noah in the back line. But Noah's playing so far back, it just never really happened. And I think that's where the whole game plan started to fall apart for Cloud9 in that fight.
And Noah now has both thumbs back, has the stopwatch, has the BT. He is ridiculously strong. And the poke from EMENES is not going to mean much of anything at this point. So Cloud9 maybe get one more fight here, where they can try to make some sort of a miracle happen, but they haven't been able to get setups on even more kind of a better position, and now they're down 3K plus the soul. It's brutal.
And this was the champion that we saw Noah perform on when he first joined the LEC. Like, it was basically Aphelios every single game. He got up to a 78 KDA. This was the champion Noah made his name on, and we haven't really got to see him go back to this pick because it slipped out of the meta, but in this game, Noah is showing just why he was so strong on this pick.
I mean, this is what Noah was good at, even in the LCK as well. He didn't play all that much, was mainly on Challenger for KT, and it's a large reason why I don't like to talk about the history of Noah, because KT has that air of mystique. If you tend to say good things, the opposite tends to be the result.
You couldn't have waited till after the game?
Ah, well, look, I want to keep it interesting, and honestly, the amount of cursing that's happened on the other side, I'm only evening it out. As Noah now moving towards his mid lane. Yeah, I was going to
come back from here. Congratulations, Fnatic.
Yeah, I think we should crown them now.
If I could put my fingers in my ears right now, I would, okay?
It's all right, everybody else can hear. 8-0-7, though. Noah is indeed legendary on his Aphelios. Razork now pushing further forward. Can Fnatic get that Baron set up to make sure that they lock this one down onto 5 members this time, and then just push down
freebie,
the enemy base? It should just be.
Yeah, I don't think Cloud9 are even going to look for it. You can see pings towards that bot lane for Fudge. You're just going to keep pushing this up. They're probably not going to look for anything besides, you know, maybe the Elder. You try to come out and you fight the Elder. You pray that you're able to hold. You pray that you're able to steal an Elder, and then maybe kind of steal this game away. But it is an incredibly difficult spot, and EMENES playing with fire.
Yeah, it does have Distortion, does have Mimic as well, I hope. That is not actually there, as he is going to go into his passive, and they find the right one. Oh no, it's the wrong one! Even I got trolled there, but they are still able to grab this. But it's a 1-for-1, and you'll take that if you're C9 and you're this far behind.
I think it's Cloud9, you have to try and make a play right now. Humanoid's on bot side. Can you find this engage while it's 3 people before Humanoid can join in?
Blaber's looking.
Yeah, they do finally see him, but is it too late? That's the question. They have to lock down Noah if they want to get anything done, as Fudge already down to 50%. That equalizer was a whole lot better, and they don't find too much more. Fudge is going to go down, and now Sven's just trying to get the CC, but Noah is just a raid boss. He is just too massive on this Aphelios. I feel like we're back to the old version of this champion, and that one was too oppressive. Noah is just reminding us what he used to be able to do, and he's doing it now on this patch of all things. Fnatic now pushing in. They are going to be able to take the inhibitor turret towards the top side of the map. Inhibitor going to go down as well. And he's now 10-0-7. He's just too big.
Yeah, they just can't deal with him whatsoever here. Cloud9, know that their windows of opportunity are so slim. They're trying to force a play here when they see Humanoid elsewhere on the map. Blaber seeing if he can split up one of the recalls, maybe make something happen here. They might be able to chase down Oscar.
Yeah, EMENES, can he actually land the chains to help lock down this Rumble? Or can he keep himself alive before the Rumble kills him is the question. EMENES is now just one more tick of that Flame Spitter, and I think he would have died. Blaber's going to be able to lock it down because he's more durable, and they do manage to get a kill off the back end just before the death cap comes in.
Yeah, I mean, still though, you're going to be in a position here as Fnatic where you can get vision down for this Elder Dragon that's going to come up. You need to reset now as Blaber and EMENES, and unless you really want to commit a TP from EMENES back onto the field to contest this 4 versus 5, you're not really in a position to do so, and even then you wouldn't have Blaber in a position where he can follow up. So it feels like maybe Zven trying to play off of lack of vision here for Fnatic, find that big ult or big knock-up that can try and turn this game.
Exactly. I think Zven is just going to kind of risk it. He's just going to wait here for the Elder, and it's just going to be in for the long haul, and he's going to hope that they don't know that he's out on the map. He knows that he's kind of snuck in, so he's going to be looking for one of these really deep flanks potentially to try to get that big play. And honestly, I respect these types of plays because if you fight evenly from this spot, just straight up, you're not going to win. You need to have that miracle engage. You need to have that miracle play. If you can't get to Noah and burst him down, it's just not going to happen for Cloud9 because this guy is way too strong at this point.
Well, Fnatic may not even go for it. It looks like they're just going to immediately push down mid lane, see if they can get position here, and they could try and end the game. You don't have Zven. That's your main engage tool. Zven is going to have to walk over a ton of wards to get into a position where he's happy.
He doesn't want to give this one up, though, because he spent so much time avoiding all of this vision. He's still channeling the back as C9 look to try and defend, but every auto Noah throws into this turret is a dangerous one.
The Baron's expired, so he knows that they're going to come over towards that Elder
Humanoid,
now.
he finds the Glacial Prison that he stole away, and Oscarinen's the one that finishes off the kill on EMENES, and all the while, Zven is biding his time, waiting for his opportunity.
There's pings down. I think they know that Zven's missing.
Yeah.
They didn't see him underneath the tower. They're expecting the cow to be somewhere, so the cow has to back away. Fnatic get the pick off a Humanoid, and they'll get the Elder Dragon.
Humanoid just coming up massive there, locks down EMENES. He gets burst down, not playing Merc Shreds, obviously, and that CC layering was perfect from Fnatic. They're able to kill him off before he can jump to safety, and now Elder plus the Soul, Fnatic marching down mid, and you have to think Cloud9's time in this tournament is over.
Yeah, that is going to be the flash away from Zven, so won't have that up and available. Hex Flash going to be there, but I don't think it's going to help them as the second inhibitor turret is going to bite the dust. The inhibitor following suit very quickly. And now Fnatic, I don't think they need a Baron. They've got the Elder buff as now Fudge is diving in. Gets a decent stun, but he can't get on top of Noah. He has to go golden as Razork is battling 3 people under these turrets, and the Jax is going to be dealt with. Blaber might be able to get one against his opposite number, but the rest of Fnatic are bearing down on them. It's a double kill for Oscar. It's Blaber on the fountain. Noah is just trying to bully them to get them away from these Nexus turrets. Blaber gets in there, but Noah's got a stopwatch. He's going to break that one onto the ground, and Noah will fall. I don't know whether it's going to be enough. They're holding for now, though. Oh, Humanoid walks back towards the turret. Blaber's trying to keep this one at bay, but there are just super minions everywhere. Okay, Humanoid throws out the chains. There's the last Nexus turret. Humanoid, can you finish the game here on now? He is so close to execution range. And there it is. The burn's going to come through. Zven not going to make this one happen, as the Nexus will be taken down from the man with everything in this game. Humanoid was just gigantic.
Humanoid trying desperately over the course of this series to keep Fnatic, keep Fnatic in Worlds, keep Cloud9 at arm's length. And when it comes down to it, the Sylas pick comes up clutch for Fnatic. They managed to pick up the win.
Absolutely impressive stuff here from Fnatic, falling down in game number 1, having the poise to collect themselves, battling back in game number 2, battling back in game number 3. And credit to Noah. I was looking at him as potentially that weakness for Fnatic, somewhere that Cloud9 could have the advantage. In game number 3, he was incredible for Fnatic. They couldn't get to him. He team fought amazingly well. Humanoid across all 3 games really was very, very good for Fnatic. And at the end of the day, it came down to the setups around the objectives, the coordination of the team fights. And in game number 3, it was clear that Fnatic were head and shoulders above Cloud9.
Yeah, I think a huge portion of that was